What's up, people? Another big day for some deep spit. Let me teach you some things. We got our handy dandy whiteboard in the background, give you some real logic, help you guys navigate this life. But what we're going to talk about today is 5 hobbies you should probably start to develop as a grown man. See, one of the things that men they lose out with life is that they forget about the things that made them who they were. See, men are natural game players. Like we need different games. Those different games shape you into a different type of human being. And one of the things that happens to guys as they get older is they get tied down with a family, they get a career, and they lose all the hobbies and things they used to do back when they were a free guy. And one of the things you don't want to ever lose is those hobbies because that's what keeps you a little bit different. Because once you start to fall down the path of the NPC where you get a job, go to job every day, have a family, have a mortgage, all you do is living to pay bills and paying bills to live, you essentially lose all aspect of autonomy about your life and just about you. You become this a cog. And then you become boring, you become resentful because you think back to the days of when you could have done prior when you had your freedom. So now as a young man, since you have a lot of freedom and time, you need to be spending that freedom and time and energy doing productive activities that's going to get you a little bit further in life and give you some new intangibilities in life. Because intangibles are what makes you in life. The days of just being the number one guy and that made you marketable, or those days are done because there's so many people on the interwebs. People are looking for authenticity. In order to make yourself an authentic person, you got to do different things to make you a little bit different, to give you a little bit of an edge and tweak so you can develop different types of analogies about other aspects of life through the different games and stuff that you play. So, without further ado, here are the top 5 hobbies you should try to pick up. And they're not necessarily hobbies you need to take on exactly, but take on something similar to them. So, the first hobby I would say is you got to find something athletic that you can do. Personally, I recommend tennis, pickleball, pick up basketball leagues, soccer leagues, anything that gets you outside playing within a team or playing by yourself is going to instantly make you a more personal person. Because one of the things about playing sports is like it's a dude's way to just release steam and kick with the guys, and you have a common thing to bond over. One of the things that humans find difficult to do is they rarely are able to bond with other men over something that's enjoyable. Most of the time, all guys bond over is misery. So if you look at most people at your job, they're bonding together over misery because they're all facing the same trials, baby mama issues, child support, mortgage they can't afford, car notes, and all types of other fucking weird shit. So they bond over misery. You don't want to bond over misery. You want to bond over a common game that you guys can all enjoy and all play. So I highly recommend picking up tennis, pickleball, and actually paying to be in a league. Because what happens when you start to pay to get into certain avenues of life, you meet more upscale people. I played a lot of tennis early on. I'm going to get back into it when I get a little bit more free time. But one of the things I love about tennis is the different guys I met, different people, what they do. And people who usually play tennis they're more analytical people because tennis is such a enduring game and it requires so much like dedication to technique, skill. You got to keep yourself in shape. So it's pretty pleasant because you meet very similar like-minded people. So you're going to love the tennis community. Pretty cool people. Same thing with pickup basketball. Same thing with soccer. Maybe even like golf. Something that gives you something to play around with other people. Because that's going to give you some enjoyable things in life. Because your fondest memories are playing sports with other people. Playing sports with kids. So anyway, that's the first hobby. Second hobby is you need to pick up some type of instrument, some type of musical instrument. I personally like to play piano. Why do I play piano? Well, it's pretty easy to go pick up. Like you just get on the keys, you start playing around, you joke around, and eventually you practice scales and you just keep practicing. Your hands get better. And what musical instruments do for you is they help you become a more well-rounded sounding person. See, I believe that your voice is an instrument, your body is an instrument. Everything about you is an instrument to convey some type of emotion and feeling to people. So what the not computer, but what instrument does, it gives you a way to train your ability to output emotion and vibrations and to create moods and themes. And that's so important to when you're just, even like romance, when you're talking to a woman, you can be able to feel her vibe and you guys complement each other and you build into like a symphony, into a crescendo, then it drops. And like, you know how to build things better as far as like the vibe of a fucking room. So the more you play, the more analytical and like vibration sounding your mind sounds, and you become more interesting to listen to. Because if you can make a piano sound interesting, keep people's attention to listen and to follow you along the journey of each note. You can do the same thing with your voice. You can do the same thing with your body language. It's all the same thing. All things are everything. That's a key point you should probably remember as you get older. All things are everything. How you practice one is going to translate to other things in your body because you are the mechanism, the machine that takes in these talents. And when you take in these talents, it changes you fundamentally, like in your biochemistry. So I highly recommend music. Just make it a little bit more interesting. And it's always pretty cool to pull up on a piano and just be able to play. That's pretty dope. Or pull a guitar out and just start being able to riff. It turns girls on. Girls fucking love that shit. Number 3, you should probably start reading manga and fiction. I highly recommend people start to read manga and fiction because those stories have so much wisdom and so much growth. Yeah, those stories have so much wisdom, so much growth, and it's such a huge undertaking to write. Like, for example, I love listening to Kingdom and reading Kingdom, and Kingdom is like this long as epic. It's like 800 chapters deep so far, and I enjoyed every single chapter because just the scope of how large and how big the entire, like the whole thing. Like there's 5 or 6 generals for each fucking country. Each country's going to war with other countries. You got kings and politician natures. You got things in the underhand, the shady world. The story of a young lad trying to become a great general, his trials and tribulations, his sacrifice, his battles. It's just there's so much beauty to it and deepness to it. And every single like chapter, I'm taking in new fucking just deep wisdom. And what you find is in fiction and these particular forms of art is that fiction is really just like real life shit that's just been given like a different twist to make it a little bit more interesting. But all those stories are very real, very human. And that's how you really find out about human nature is through the stories of people. Because stories have no intrinsic value besides the entertainment and the lessons they teach you while you're reading it. Like if you read a Harry Potter book, all you get from that return from that Harry Potter book is the story. Like you don't make money off of reading Harry Potter. It's not like you read a business book or you read a chess book where you learn a tangible skill. Like, okay, I read this book on business. And I now know what a 401k is. I now know how to invest, blah, blah, blah. Things that you can apply in the real world. Fiction is a little bit more different because you just take away the story. That's it. All you get is a story in exchange for your time. So that story better be fucking really good. That's why people get so pissed off when they watch a dud of a movie. Because you're like, I just wasted 2 hours of my life watching this terrible fucking movie. And I can't get my life back. And I didn't even like the story. It was a waste of my goddamn time. I'm pissed off. And so people get very pissed off when they get bad stories. But a good story will keep you enchanted for like your rest of your life. I used to love reading Aesop fables because I would love to just go back and listen to the videos and just how deep and how metaphorical everything was that I was listening to. So I highly recommend reading manga and fiction, and maybe even starting to write your own fictional stuff. Create a fictional outline for a story and start writing. I remember as a young kid, I used to love writing comic books. I wish I still had those comic books, but I used to write comic books and share them with my classmates, and we would all laugh at how gay our fucking comic books were. Then we all started this like a little comic book series in our fucking boys' school. And it was cool because we all just wrote stupid stories and we all enjoyed it. Number 4, you need to get into some type of fighting art or discipline or self-defense, like projectile weaponry. So I can't stress this enough. If you don't know how to shoot or fight as a man, you're so fucked. Like, fighting and shooting is man's fucking domain. Violence is the domain of man. Like, everything has a low level of violence. No matter where you go with other guys, there's always a possibility a fight can break out. So for your ability to learn how to process violence, it does a lot for you in the future. Because first of all, it's going to keep you out of a lot of violent situations because you'll be able to read body language fucking like that. Body language, most people can't read. They can't read fear. They can't read confidence. They can't read anything on another human being. I can read people like this because I had to read people because I learned how to fight. If you can't read people when you're fighting, you're in deep shit. They're going to fucking tag you in the face all goddamn day. There's nothing you can do about it. Because if you can't read, the first step of any fighting is understanding the intentions. What is this guy trying to do to me? What is his possibility? What is his plans? Where am I weak at? Where is he strong at? Where is he weak at? Where am I strong at? How do I get into range to be able to strike this person? These are things that need to be processed in like microseconds as you're fighting. Because every single second the fight is changing because movements and position are changing. And once you learn how to fight, you instantly become an instant like chessboard reader like that. You can read everything. Almost everything. It's impossible not to be able to, because your eyes are now been trained in the art of like reality Because most time people don't live in reality. Most people don't understand a fight is starting until the fight has long already started. And that's why a lot of people get in a lot of jammed up situations. You'll be able to get a lot of situations if you could just see, oh my God, okay, I can feel the energy. There's the fight about to break out. Let me walk out the back door and get a fucking bird's eye view so I can get away from all this craziness in case somebody gets shot. Learn how to fight's going to save your fucking life, and not because you can defend yourself, but because you understand how to get the fuck away before you have to defend yourself, which is way more critical because you don't need to be fighting battles that have no victories. It's fucking just stupid. Or have no tangible outcome that's positive for the victory, because that's just dumb. You're playing a loser's game. Which brings me to my next key point of a hobby you definitely need to pick up. Start learning how to play chess or Go. Chess or Go are two highly old strategic strategy games that are very good for just changing the mind of you to start thinking more long term and plotting out your moves a lot better. A lot of guys, you guys are very poor thinkers. As you can see from my chart, plotting is a quarter of your fucking life that you need to be working on. You need to be observing and plotting and then making action, then you rest after the action. You keep that cycle going, observe, plot, action, rest. If you can keep that in a nice little even balance and change it up depending on the circumstances, you're going to be pretty successful in life. And the only way to do that is to understand the strategy of life. So if you're not planning and plotting things out and look at the long-term ramifications of your choices for today, you're going to be some deep shit. Very deep, 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 deep shit. So if you don't want to be in that deep shit, learn how to be strategic in your thinking, plotting, observing, and actions. And if you can learn how to do that, the best way to do that is chess and Go, because they force you to think in long-term strategy, because there's such a consequence to every move that you make. Every move that you make gives the opponent the ability to make a move against you. And that's how life works. Every move that you make, the opponent has a chance to make a move against you. So if you're not thinking long-term, if you're not setting traps for people, if you're not putting yourself in better predicaments so you're not in trouble deeper in the game, you're going to be in trouble in real life because your choices catch up to you. So your choices from 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, they come back and haunt you. And if you don't want shit haunting you, learn how to tie up loose ends and make sure you have contingencies to keep those bad situations from occurring, especially if you can know when you're going to see it. And one of the things you guys really need to learn is how you deal with women. A lot of you guys are dealing with women very poorly, and you're facing bad ramifications for said choices because you're not thinking long term. And the last thing, the bonus one, bonus. Just grow or build anything. Just start building and growing stuff. I mean, I don't need to tell you what to build. I don't need to tell you what to grow. Figure it out for yourself. You're a fucking grown man. I can't give you all the answers. But growing and building things teach you very hard lessons that you're just not going to learn unless you're really doing it. Like, you're not going to learn that you messed up mounting a television unless you go and actually mount the television. And then you'll learn a different process. And you'll get better and faster and quicker at it to the point where you can almost do it in your sleep. Same thing with growing food. If you're not learning how to grow food, you're going to be in deep trouble. Growing food teaches you so much about patience, teaches you about hard, diligent work, observing and plotting and thinking things out long term, which are all very useful things as a man. This is how you establish your manhood, by building things, growing things, and fighting. That's how you do it. But anyway, quick rehash, top 5 hobbies. Pick up tennis, pickleball, some type of recreational activity or sport. Learn a musical instrument. Start reading some fiction, read manga. I highly recommend you start a Kingdom. I'll put a link in the bio. Start a fighting art discipline or some type of projectile weaponry. Learn how to shoot, learn how to fight. Please, people, for the God's sake, to protect yourself and those around you, learn how to be proficient in violence. And learn chess or Go or some type of strategy game that forces you to think long term so you're no longer a dum-dum. And the bonus one, grow and build something, please. Be a useful, productive human being and citizen. Thank you.